Hey, hello everyone, this is Mecha, and welcome back to another Thracia guide. This time we're gonna talk about weird mechanics that the game doesn't really explain. There's a couple of them, and I'm gonna go over them. If you wanna find out how they work yourself, check out Stranded Forest or play the game, see if you can figure it out. But I'm gonna go over them in this video. And the things I'm gonna talk about are movement stars, movement growth, leadership stars, the build stat or the constitution stat, and the growth of that. Rescuing, critical hits, pursuit critical, a little bit of staffs, Crusader scrolls, supports, and weapon ranks. So quite a list. I'm sure there will be timestamps down below if you want to skip to something. Movement stars, first of all. Leaf has one, you can see it right here. And some characters have more than that, some characters have none. It can be anywhere between 0 and 5. And every star stands for a 5% chance to move again. So if I move Leaf and this little sprite gets a musical note above it, then he gets to move again. It's that simple. It's pretty much luck based. You can't really control it in any way unless you know how to RNG abuse in this game. It is a lot of fun. It can only proc once per turn most of the time. It doesn't really proc consecutively. The only exception is if you move a character and then you get a remove star and then you move again and then you dance for them with another character, then you can get another movement star after that. So that means you get to move 4 times in a turn if you're lucky. And if you're really lucky, then your dancer can also get a movement star. So that can multiply the amount of times you can move in a turn, but generally it's once per turn per character. Then there's also movement growth. Besides the usual stats that can grow like HP and strength and speed and stuff, in this game you can also have a chance to grow movement. For example, Leaf has a 3% chance to move again, or not to move again, to grow a point of movement. And this goes for a lot of characters. Usually the growth is like 3% or lower. Some characters even have 0. Actually only Safia has 0. But there's also a character with 5%, so it can get pretty insane at times. There's also a scroll that boosts your move growth, so you can get variable moves on characters. It's pretty fun. The animation for that plays after you level up, for your information, so you don't usually see it in the level up screen, but you'll notice it when it happens, trust me. Alright, next thing I want to cover is leadership stars. Avel has one of these, and Finn has one of these as well. What these things do is very simple. If they're on the field at all, these leadership stars, then every character allied with them gets a 3% hit and avoid boost. Doesn't matter where they are, it can work from like across the map. You'll just get the boost, no questions asked. And this is a good reason to deploy a character like Finn in random maps, even if he's not going to fight anything, just because he's going to make every other character better, and it's pretty nice. Enemy commanders can also have leadership stars. The boss in this chapter doesn't have one, but there are other chapters where the boss can have leadership, and sometimes it can be helpful to kill them to reduce the enemy hit rate or their avoidance chance. You'll definitely find some chapters where that can be helpful. But most of the time the boss will be at the end of the chapter, so it won't impact you very much. But that's what a leadership star does. Next thing I want to cover is the build stat, also known as constitution in this patch, but it used to be called build a lot, so I'll probably be mixing them up a lot. But build and constitution are basically the same thing. In the GBA games you have like a constitution stat as well as an aid stat, but in this game they're kind of combined into one. And just like with movements, characters can actually randomly grow constitution. Growth vary from character to character. For example, Leaf only has a 15% chance to increase his constitution. But this guy that just joined us right here, Marty, he actually has a massive 75% chance to grow his constitution, and it's already 15. And as I said, constitution functions as both constitution and aid. So, for example, Marty has a steel axe that weighs 15. But his constitution is also 15, so he's not going to lose any speed. Not that he has any to begin with, but that's how it works. But Leaf, for example, he only has 5 constitution, and he has a light brand that weighs 10. So that means that he will lose 5 speed from wielding this light brand, because 5 minus 10 is minus 5. And that means that he will lose 5 speed, so his speed gets reduced to 0 when he's using the light brand, which sucks for little Leaf, but that's all you can do. Same goes for like Avel, for example. She has an iron blade and only 8 constitution. The iron blade weighs 15, so she gets weighed down by 7 because 8 minus 15 is minus 7. Now, constitution also determines what you can rescue. For example, Leaf only has 5 constitution, so you can only rescue, well, really light characters. I think you can rescue Tanya, yeah, because she has 4 con. You need to have more con than whatever you're rescuing in order to rescue them. But for example, Marty, he can rescue just about anyone. He can rescue Tanya, for example, but he can also rescue Orson and Halvin, because Marty has 15 Constitution, whereas those guys have 11 or 12. Now, just like in the GBA games, mounted units are treated differently. Just like when capturing, Finn is treated as having 20 Constitution when it comes to like anything rescuing related. That means you cannot rescue him with someone like Halvin, because, well, Halvin only has 12 Constitution, and Finn is treated as having 20, so Halvin cannot pick him up. And in reverse, Finn can pick up Halvin, or really anyone in your team, because Finn is treated as having 20 Constitution, because he is a mounted unit. You cannot ever pick up a unit with 20 Constitution, even if they're not mounted. So if once Marty gets 20 Constitution, you can't pick him up, because a character would need 21 Constitution in order to pick him up, but can't have that. You know, while I'm on the topic of rescuing, I might as well explain this a little bit. So, as you can see, Finn has about 8 strength, 8 skill, 11 speed, etc. If I have him pick up someone, like Leaf, you can see that his strength and skill and speed and a lot of other stats got cut in half. Basically every stat except your HP, your luck, and your constitution gets cut in half whenever you're rescuing. Doesn't matter who it is. What does matter is who you're rescuing when it comes to your movement. As you can see right now, his movement is still 8 when he's holding Leaf. But if I pick up Halvin instead, who's a bit heavier, you can see that his movement is actually reduced by 4. And this is because Halvin is a lot heavier. The exact way it works is if the rescuee's constitution is over half of the rescuer's constitution, then the rescuer is going to lose half his movement. So in practice that means that Finn, as I said, he's treated as having 20 constitution in this kind of case. So anyone with 11 or more build or constitution will slow him down. That doesn't mean Leaf, because Leaf has less than 11, but it does mean Halvin, because he has more than 11. Avel would not slow him down because she only has 8 constitution. Orson would slow him down because he's got 11. We can see this with like Dagdar and Marty as well, for example. You see Dagdar has 15 and Marty also has 15. So if they rescue someone like Tanya, you can see that his movement stays intact at 7 like it was before. There's no downwards arrow here. But if, for example, I move Orson towards here and have Dagdar rescue him, then he does get slowed down to 3. It's cut in half and then rounded down, by the way, if you didn't figure that part out yet. So this is because Dagdar has 15 constitution, and half of that will be like 7 to 8. And of course, Halvin has way more than that, and so does Orson. So that's why they get slowed down. So if you don't want to lose movement when you're rescuing someone, then you better be careful with their build stats. Okay, next up we should talk about critical hits, and of course we're gonna do that talking about Orson. So first off, the thing you gotta know about Orson is, of course, he has Wrath. So whenever he counterattacks, he will critical, period. But it's a little bit more complex than that. You see right now he has 17 crit, and that's because he has 7 skill, and he's also in range of someone who supports him. In this case it's Avel, so I'm gonna move her away for a minute so we can more closely examine Orson. So you can see with 7 skill, he has 7 crit. This is true for his first attack. However, if Orson double attacks someone, his pursuit critical will kick in. You might know this as fuck from the Mangs shitpost that he made, or from the Fireman Wiki, but usually it's known as PCC or FCC, pursuit critical coefficient or follow-up critical coefficient. They're pretty stupid names all around, but what it comes down to is every character has a hidden stat that you can look up on Serenus Forest. In your base stats, it's called PC there, and that's a coefficient that multiplies their crits on a second attack whenever they're following up. So Leaf, for example, he has 2 pursuit critical, Orson he has 3, so that means that on a second attack Orson doesn't have 7 crit, but 7 times 3 crit, which is 21, which is a lot more. And it gets even better when you're using like a crit weapon or a support, because those bonuses get factored in too. For example, right here, I just had Orson grab the Puji, or the Buji, and it has 37 crit total, combined with the skill and the weapon crit, which is 30. But whenever he attacks a second time, he will actually have over 100 crit. So if you thought Rutger was good at critting, you should check out some FE5 characters. And Orson only has a 3 pursuit critical. It can actually go up to 5, so some characters can crit really reliably right off the bat. And Orson is one of them. Also, what you gotta keep in mind is on your first attack, you can never have more than 25 crit. The game kind of hard caps it at 25. So usually if you crit, it will be on your second attack. It's also worth noting that crits don't really work like they do in GBA games, but more like FE4 in terms of how much damage they do. In GBA games, if you were to attack an enemy with Orson and he would get a critical hit, it would just do the damage times 3. But in this game in FE4, it actually multiplies his attack by 2. And that's a big difference. It means that he has 32 attack if he's critting right now with the 16 attack. Because 16 times 2 is 32. And after that, the defense is factored in. This usually means you will do more damage to high defense enemies than you would with a crit in the GBA games. Something else I should mention before I forget is that Thracia doesn't allow 100 hit. And what that means is your hit is capped at 99, and it's also floored at 1 for your information. So you're never invincible and there's always a chance you can miss. Usually this doesn't make a difference, but when it does, it's really painful and really annoying. Nothing you can do about it. Maximum hit is 99, bottom hit is 1. You're gonna have to live with it. Even if you're like Avel, there's still a chance you can miss. Alright, next up I want to talk a little bit about staves, because they have some weird stuff about them that we gotta cover. So if you've used Sophia at all yet, you probably know that she can miss with staves, and so can anyone. The reason for this is because there's a hit formula for staves as well. It's pretty simple. It's 60 plus 4 times your skill, and that's your accuracy in percentages. So Sophia, for example, has 60 plus 6 times 4 is 60 plus 24 is 84% chance to hit with a regular heal staff, or any staff really. There is a misconception that the torch staff has different accuracy. It's even listed like that on Serenus Forest, but Falcoma has tested this and it turns out that it has the same accuracy as everything else. So you can miss with a torch, you can miss with heal staffs, warp staffs, whatever. It won't consume a use, but it will still give you XP, so it's actually good to miss every once in a while. It's pretty funny. But once you get 10 or more skill, your hit will be capped out at 99. You can't reach 100 hit, just like with normal attacks, but at least you'll know that most of the time, almost all the time, when you have 10 skill or more, you will almost always hit. But it can be pretty annoying to miss. The healing staves also have a double casting rate. This is the case for heal, mend, and the physics staves. And a double cast rate is also like a random chance to just double with the heal staff, which is kind of weird. The chance that it happens is your speed plus skill plus luck divided by 2 in percentages. So pretty simple. You'll see it happen sometimes. It consumes an extra use, I think, but it doesn't really matter very much. It's kind of annoying when it wastes like 2 physic uses, I guess, but whatever. It's not that big of a deal. But yeah, there's more intricacies to staves, but those are the most important ones. So next I want to talk a little bit about supports. Supports in this game, they're not conversations, they're just bonuses that happen if you're within 3 tiles of one another, and that's it. So it's basically as if you have a C support with someone, but there's never a conversation, and it can never be boosted. And all supports give plus 10 hits, avoid, crit, and crit avoid, and they will happen just automatically, basically. Some supports are one way and some supports are mutual. Tanya is a good example of a character that has both mutual and non-mutual supports. She gives a support bonus to Dagdar, but Dagdar does not give a support bonus to her. But she has a mutual support with Orson, who's over here. I thought it would be Orson, but nope. Okay, so Dagdar's over here. You can see, for example, he has 110 hit, but if we put Tanya in his range, you can see that that gets boosted to 120 hit, which is a sign that the support is working. You can also see that Tanya right now has 92 hit, but if I put her in range of Dagdar, that doesn't change anything. But if I move her in range of Orson, for example, that does get boosted to 102. But you can also see that Orson right here has 93 hit, but if I move Tanya in his range, you'll see that Orson is boosted to 103 hit. So you can kind of check out what supports exist on Serenus Forest. They mostly make sense with regards to characters that have conversations with one another. Characters that are friends or family usually support each other, but it's kind of irregular, so you want to check that out. Supports are pretty useful in Thracia if you know where they are, because boosting your odds of winning against like all RNG is just a pretty nice feature to have in a game with 1 RN and all the stupid other things that come in Thracia. Okay, last thing I want to cover real quick is weapon ranks. In this game, there's no progress bar for your weapon ranks, so you kind of sort of have to keep track yourself if you want to know exactly when a character is going to hit the next rank. But every level is basically 50 weapon EXP between them, so it's not like an FE7 where to get from E rank to D rank you have to do 30 weapon EXP, and then from D rank to C is like 40. In this game it's just 50 between every rank, and that can be kind of tough to build up. Also because every attack gives the same amount of weapon XP, which is 1. It doesn't matter what weapon you use, it doesn't matter whether you kill an enemy, you always get 1 weapon XP, and that just makes it a little bit tough to get rank up. The exception is staves. Staves are a little different. You get weapon XP for a staff depending on what rank your staff is. If you use an E rank staff, for example, you get 1, D gives 2, C gives 3, and then there's personal staves, and personal staves give 10 per. So for example, Safi's Hermern gives you plus 10 weapon XP if you use it. And if she misses, you still get the weapon XP, but it doesn't consume a use. So that's why people sometimes rig hammer and misses with Safi. Or Sophia, excuse me. Still gotta get used to those names. And there's also something else. Oh yeah, some characters have base levels in weapon ranks, even though you can't see them. They're listed in Serenus Force other data. For example, Sophia has, where is it? There we go. She has a base C rank in staves, but it's also at plus 40, and that means she's only 10 weapon XP away from hitting B staves. Which means if you want her to get A rank staves, the fastest way to do it is to get 10 weapon XP on her C rank, and then promote her. Because promoting in this game just gives you plus 1 weapon rank. So if you're at B, you go to A, and if you're at C, you go to B, etc. But the weapon XP you have in the previous rank, like for example that 40 C rank that she has already, that 40 weapon XP, that stays. So you can promote her first and then continue building staff rank if you want to. So it doesn't get erased, you just get plus 1. Like, you basically get plus 50 weapon XP for promoting. Also, there's no S rank in this game, or any bonus of any kind. The max weapon rank is A. So yeah, that's all I have to say. If you are missing any mechanics that you want explained, leave a comment below. You can also look up stuff on Serenus Force, of course. But I just thought I'd put it in a nice video format for you guys. See you for more Thracia guys later. Peace.